I'm here with Dr. Benjamin F. Chavis, President and CEO of Black Press of America, National Publishers Association. Dr. Chavis, thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you. It's always good to be in your presence.
Well, you are too kind. You are too kind. So we're here at the Democratic National Convention in Chicago at the United Center for 2024. November 5th, of course, is a big, big day. And with Vice President Harris now being on the ticket, in terms of the African American community and communities of color, what is in it for us?
Well, that's a very good question. It's a very timely question. This week at the DNC, we're going to see an array of leaders.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to see the President of the United States tonight, the former President of the United States tomorrow, and then another president on Wednesday. And then you're going to see the next President of the United States on Thursday, Kamala Harris. So what is it in? What is it? What are the consequences of that election for Black America? What is the consequences of that election for communities of color in the United States today? I just got to make a point. The Trump campaign is about the past.
Mm-hmm.
The Harris-Walz campaign is about the future. But the question is, where do we fit in the future? I know why you're asking the question. Track records are important. Over the last 3.5 years, childhood poverty has been cut in half.
Mm-hmm.
Over the last 3.5 years, Black unemployment has gone down to a record low. Over the last 3.5 years, historically Black colleges and universities have gotten billions of dollars that they should have gotten in the past. And again, I must say that the Biden-Harris administration probably did more for Black America than any other administration. So the question now is, how can Kamala Harris take that baton from President Biden, and then go forward? And as she goes forward, will she take Black America with her? Will the quality of life in our community improve? Will our children get an education where they can excel and become scholars? Will our seniors be able to get health care? Will they be able to get lower prescriptions on their drugs? Housing. We lost a lot during the housing crisis. They tell me that Black wealth was cut in half during the housing crisis in 2008. Can we restore economic resiliency to the Black community as a result of a Harris administration? Those are the questions. And I believe while she's, some in the mainstream media has criticized her for not having her policies out, she already put an economic policy out. But I think in her wisdom, she first had to build up all this enthusiasm that you see here. Mm-hmm. And the question is, what's going to happen after the convention? Right. I know what's going to happen here. The question is, what is going to happen after this week? Will people go back to their communities and fight against some of this voter suppression? Will people go back and get young people engaged, Generation Z, millennials? When people get back, will they be able to stand on the front line? I'm going to tell you a true story. I'm from North Carolina.
Yes, sir.
And in my involvement in the civil rights movement, I've been arrested 6 or 7 times.
A lot of times in Wilmington.
A lot of times in Wilmington, North Carolina. So the state of Georgia has passed a law that while the people are standing in line this year to vote in the hot sun, if you give somebody a bottle of water, you can be arrested. So I'm going to get I'm saying this in advance, I'm going to get a truckload of water.
Okay.
And I'm driving to a Georgia polling place. And I'm going to cut the engine off, and I'm going to let the people get some water. I'm going to challenge that law.
Now, that's direct action.
That's direct action.
That's direct action. And so with you talking about all the things that have been accomplished by the Biden-Harris administration and talking about the future for the African-American community, what are we demanding of her? It's wonderful that she went to Howard University. It's great that she's a part of the Divine Nine, as both of us are.
Yes.
But that's not going to feed the bulldog. What are we demanding of her, and who within the community, who's making those demands? Because one of the things that I have run up against is when I start talking to people in our community about policy, they start looking at me, why are you asking those questions? Are you afraid that Donald Trump is going to win? That's not the point. The point is, what am I getting for my vote?
Right. Policy determines the quality of life.
All the time.
And, people complain about some of these voter depression measures. That's public policy.
Right.
People complain. Let me put it this way, man. We can't be a race of complainers.
Right.
Now.
But we can be a race of demanders.
That's what I'm pointing to. We have to be a race of demanders. Freddie Douglass said it best. Power concedes nothing without a demand. And so when Kamala Harris assumes the power of the White House, we have to continue to place that demand. Mm-hmm. And the good news is I think she will welcome the demand.
Okay.
I don't think she's going to resist the demand. I know the sister personally. Mm-hmm. She comes from a great family and community in California. And I think if you look at the people around her, it looks a little different even from the people around Biden. Mm-hmm. So she's replenishing her campaign with people who not only want to respond to the demand, but make sure we deliver demand. So it's another thing, I hear the demands of the people. Mm-hmm. But what are we going to do about delivering for the demands of the people? And I have high confidence that Kamala Harris and Tim Walz are going to deliver on the demands that are made on the Harris-Walz administration.
You've been and continue to be a frontline soldier, a frontline fighter. At this stage in your process, what gives you hope? What keeps you on the front line?
Well, I said when Barack Obama was elected that night that it was a fulfillment of Dr. King's dream. But I realized that Dr. King himself, before he was assassinated in Memphis on April 4th, 1968, said that his dream was becoming a nightmare. Mm-hmm. Because while we dream about equality, while we dream about justice, while we dream about empowerment, the reality of many of our communities is that we're still entrenched in poverty.
If I could jump in, please, because a lot of people, first of all, have never read the complete text of I Have a Dream.
That's correct.
They love to, that phrase doesn't come in till almost 2/3 of the way through the speech. And what a lot of people don't realize is the title was the juxtaposition against our reality, which was a horrific nightmare.
That's correct.
That's why he had to have the dream, because we're living a nightmare.
Right. And so you ask, what gives me hope?
What gives you hope?
Because I see the resurrection of the dream. I see the resurrection of hope. I see the resurrection of taking responsibility for our communities. It's just not about receiving handouts. Mm-hmm. It's about getting hand-ups, push-ups, and I just want to make sure that I do have a caution.
Okay.
2016. Mm-hmm. Everybody was excited.
Yes.
The polls said that Hillary Clinton was going to win. She would be the first woman president. What happened? Donald Trump played to his base the key of supremacy, the key of racism, the key of anti-Semitism. He played all of that, all those negative things. And all those negative things, if you're not careful, will overtake the positive things. Mm-hmm. So we got to be vigilant in 2024. Not just excited because you don't want to repeat where Sister Harris wins the popular vote, but then Trump wins the Electoral College vote. So we got to be very strategic in our voter turnout.
There's another thing that happened in 2016.
Learn from history.
There's another thing that happened in 2016. Hillary Clinton ran a lousy campaign, took too many things for granted, didn't campaign in Michigan.
Because they overestimated their success.
Okay.
Now, one of the things I like about, as soon as Sister Harris was nominated, it was the first thing she said, we are the underdogs.
Right.
She's not going around telling people, oh, you got nothing to worry about, we got this. No, we don't got it yet. We have to get it.
How energized are you with all of this enthusiasm? Because before President Biden stepped aside, there was a lot of hand-wringing. A lot of folks weren't nearly as enthusiastic as many people would have hoped there would have been. There has been this surge of enthusiasm. Right. What does that say to you now?
Well, this is my analogy. while President Biden was deciding whether or not he was going to drop out, people got down on their knees and prayed.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell people all the time, be careful what you pray for, because God will answer your prayers. So what has happened was unexpected. That's why the Trump people are caught off guard. They don't know how to handle this. In fact, this energy is more than it was in 2008. Because you have to understand, people didn't really know if America was ready for a black president. So it was a grand surprise.
Right.
Now, people know that it's a possibility. And, of course, the opposition also knows it's a possibility. So this is going to be the title match. This is going to be the championship match. And the underdog right now is still Kamala Harris. And that's why I want to make sure we don't be so joyous that we lose sense of our responsibility to go out and make this work. I want to match her joy with our work.
As we wrap this up, if you would look into camera one, what are the two major things that you want the community to understand about where we are right now in this moment of history and what's at stake?
We're at a moment in history that we've never been before. Yes, we've had a black president before, but we're at a moment in history where having a black woman president, I must say this is the year of the black woman. Hear me now. The first conference call to raise all those millions of dollars was with black women. Now the donors are coming back. Why? Because they see the black community doing something unprecedented. And so, number one, we got to go out and vote. And number two, you got to make sure that everybody around you, in your family, in your church, in your sorority, in your fraternity, goes out and vote. We need the largest black voter turnout in American history in 2024.
Dr. Benjamin Chavis, as always, my brother. Thank you so much.
God
Greatly appreciate it. Folks, Wilmer Leon here. Politics and Color is where you are. You want to be sure you stay in this conversation. Stay with us.